Your daughter doesn't deserve a sweet 16, Mom said. Not after what she did to your niece. My daughter had refused to give her new laptop to my sister's kid. I said nothing. Canceled the party I'd planned, $34,000 budget. Instead, I flew just my daughter to Paris for her birthday. We posted one photo. Within an hour, my sister was commenting, "We need to talk." My mother said it with a straight face, like she was commenting on the weather. Your daughter doesn't deserve a sweet 16, she told me, tapping her nail against her coffee mug. Not after what she did to your niece. The dining room was full of catalogs and color swatches, venue brochures, cake samples, my notepad with $34,000 cap, written in the top corner and underlined twice. Across the table, my sister Erin folded her arms. Her daughter, Kayla, sat next to her scrolling on her cracked phone, like this wasn't about her at all. I felt the words hit, then travel. Chest, stomach, jaw. Mia was in the hallway, pretending to look at the framed photos, but I could see the way her shoulders stiffened. Of course she heard. All this because my 15-year-old had politely refused to hand over her brand new birthday laptop. She embarrassed Kayla, Erin added, in front of everyone. You're rewarding that. I didn't say anything. Not yet. My pen shook a little in my hand. I dragged a box around DJ, just so I didn't throw the pen across the room. Mom leaned back in her chair. If she was a good cousin, she said, she would have shared. Shared. As in, given her present away. Completely. From the hallway, Mia's reflection in the glass cabinet blurred. She turned and went upstairs without a word, each step careful and quiet, like she didn't want to bother anyone on the way out of her own party planning meeting. I'm Daryl, 42, living in Hoboken, New Jersey. I'm a broker on the institutional side. It's not fun to explain at barbecues, but it pays well enough that people in my family stopped seeing me as a person and started seeing me as a walking limit increase. I'm divorced. Mia lives with me full-time and spends every other weekend with her mom in Queens. She's quiet, reads graphic novels, and color codes her notes for fun. The kind of kid teachers email you about just to say, she helped another student today. My parents live 20 minutes away in the same townhouse development they've been in since I was a teenager. Erin lives 10 minutes from them, in a house I helped her keep. Literally. When her husband got laid off 3 years ago, guess who covered their mortgage, just until they got back on their feet? That was $1,800 a month for 9 months. When my dad's truck died, I helped with the down payment on a newer one. Another $5,000. Last year, when their roof started leaking, I wrote a check for $12,000 so they wouldn't lose the house we grew up in. I didn't keep a ledger, but my bank app did. In between that, I was the guy who picked up the tab on family dinners, paid for the Florida trip so all the grandkids could see Disney, even though Mia's flight ended up booked for the wrong date, and somehow that was her fault, too. They'd forget to put her in photos. Forget to tell her about cousin sleepovers. Forget her favorite cake flavor, but somehow always remember Kayla's. I told myself they were just scattered, older, busy. I was busy too, but apparently money travels faster than effort. The laptop thing started a week before the Sweet 16 conversation. I'd bought it for Mia myself, a brand new MacBook Air, midnight color, with her initials laser-etched on the back. She'd never had anything that wasn't a hand-me-down Chromebook from school or a refurbished tablet I grabbed on sale. I'd watched her open the box at our kitchen table, fingers trembling, eyes huge. "Are you serious?" she whispered. "For me? For you?" I said. "For high school projects. For art. For whatever you want." She spent an hour just setting the wallpaper and the name on it. Mia D's MacBook. She wiped the screen with the little cloth it came with like it was a living thing. The next day, Erin showed up unannounced. She breezed in with a Starbucks cup and no hello, like always. Eyes already scanning the living room. "Where's Mia?" she asked. "In her room, doing homework." "With the new laptop?" Her tone changed on the word new. Sharp, possessive. My stomach sank a little. I already knew. Erin didn't knock. She just pushed Mia's door open. "Hey, birthday girl," she sang. "Kayla told me you got a brand new MacBook." Mia looked up from her desk, posture going small. "Yeah, Dad. Dad got it for me. I'm still setting it up." Erin smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Well, here's the thing," she said, leaning in the doorway. "Kayla's laptop totally died this week, and she really needs something for school. You know the pressure of junior year. Kayla is 17. Mia is 15. Somehow, that made my kid the sacrifice. So we were thinking, Aaron continued, you could let her use yours for the year. Then Dad can get you one later. You don't really need something that fancy yet. Mia glanced at me. I was standing behind Aaron now, heart pounding hard enough to hear it. It was a gift, she said quietly. I kinda need it for school too. Aaron's smile evaporated. Wow, she said. Okay, I didn't realize you were selfish now. That's enough, I said, finally stepping fully into the room. I should have shut it down harder. I know that now. Back then, I went for the middle ground, like an idiot. She just got it, I said. It's hers. I can help you find something for Kayla, but we're not handing this over. Aaron turned on me like I'd flipped a switch. You're joking, right? She snapped. You make more in a quarter than we do in a year. But your precious daughter can't even share with her cousin. Mia stared at her hands. Her thumb rubbed the edge of the laptop lid. It's not sharing if I never get it back, she said, almost inaudible. Aaron ignored her. Fine, she said, grabbing her bag. Just remember this when Kayla doesn't get into a good college because she didn't have the right tools. She stormed out. The front door slammed a second later. I went to say something to Mia, to tell her she didn't do anything wrong, that it was okay to keep her own gift. But she was already wiping her eyes with the sleeve of her sweatshirt, pretending to adjust the screen brightness. I'm fine, she said. Can we order pizza tonight? I nodded. I ordered pizza. I changed the subject. I said nothing else. That was my mistake, and my mother smelled it like blood in the water. So there we were a week later at my parents' house, surrounded by binder tabs labeled Daryl's contribution, and my mother had just declared that my daughter didn't deserve the party I was paying for. Aaron jumped in like it was a synchronized routine. Kayla cried all night, she said. You saw her, Mom. And Mia just sat there hugging that stupid laptop like it was more important than family. My mother nodded like a judge. I'm not saying cancel the whole thing, she added. I'm just saying maybe scale it back. Or, she shrugged, make it more equal. Maybe Kayla can have a joint party. She is turning 18. She's practically an adult. Never mind that Kayla had already had a huge quinceañera. I wrote a 5-figure check for 2 years ago. I stared at the numbers on my notepad. Venue deposit $10,000. DJ $2,500. Photographer $3,000. Dress budget $1,200. Catering $14,000. Cake $1,500. Decor $1,800. Favors, limo, incidentals. We were sitting at roughly $34,000 once everything settled. My parents had contributed exactly zero. Aaron had Venmo'd me $200 for cake or whatever, and texted me 3 Pinterest links labeled Vibe. You called me. I reminded my mother slowly, and asked me to make it special. She shrugged. I didn't know Mia was going to turn into this person, she said. Maybe all that money ruined her. There it was. They'd been punishing me ever since I stopped bailing Aaron out of her 5th maxed out card last year. Since I told my parents I wouldn't co-sign on their helic because their credit score looked like a horror movie. Now it was my kid's turn to pay. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. She's a good kid. She said no to giving away her birthday present. That's all. Aaron snorted. You're raising her to be greedy, she said. If she was my kid, I'd have made her hand it over. I looked at the doorway where Mia had been a few minutes ago. Empty now. I pictured her upstairs in my old bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed she'd outgrown, staring at her hands again. Something in my chest snapped, but quietly, like a rubber band stretched past where it's supposed to go. I closed the notepad. I've got a meeting, I said. We'll talk later. I left their house with my jaw so tight it hurt and my hands shaking on the steering wheel. That night, after Mia went to bed, I opened my laptop at the kitchen table and pulled up the spreadsheet for the party. Every contract, every deposit, every email confirmation was neatly filed. That's what I do for a living. Track risk, track numbers, make sure nothing falls through the cracks. Funny how I could do it for strangers and not for my own kid. On one tab, I had the Sweet 16 breakdown. On another, in a different folder, I had something else I'd been idly looking at for months without really admitting it to myself. Paris. Flights, hotels, museum tickets. I'd bookmarked it one night when Mia fell asleep on the couch watching videos of the Louvre on YouTube. Dad, look at this ceiling, she'd said, eyes wide. Can you imagine seeing that in real life? Back then, I'd said, maybe someday. Someday always came for everyone but her. I stared at the 2 tabs. Party. Paris. My mother's voice replayed in my head. Your daughter doesn't deserve a sweet 16. She's not really a sharer, is she? Maybe all that money ruined her. I thought about the thousands I'd poured into my family over the years. The vacations, the home repairs, the bills. About Mia, sitting on the sidelines of yacht-themed parties she hadn't even wanted to attend. If my money didn't buy my kid basic respect, what, exactly, was I paying for? I picked up my phone and dialed the venue first. Waterfront Ballroom. This is Hannah, a bright voice said. Hi, Hannah. This is Daryl Collins, I said. I'm calling about the Collins Sweet 16 in 3 weeks. Contract number 4472. She clicked a few keys. Oh yes, we're very excited. We're canceling, I said, before I could lose my nerve. Silence. Oh, okay, she said carefully. I'm sorry to hear that. Let me check your contract. Looks like you'll forfeit 25% of the deposit, but we can refund the remaining balance within 7 to 10 business days. That's fine, I said. Please send the confirmation to my email. We went through the formalities. She sounded more sympathetic at the end, like she'd heard every messy family story in the book. Next was the DJ, then the photographer, then the bakery, then the decor company that had been so excited to hang a giant MIA in lights. Every time I said, we're canceling, something in me unlocked a little more. I opened my banking app. The party fund was a separate savings bucket I'd built all year, $34,000 set aside. After the non-refundable losses, I'd get about $26,000 back over the next couple weeks. I scrolled to another screen. Automatic transfers, $500 monthly to mom and dad, labeled Help, $250 every other week to Aaron, labeled Buffer. I tapped each one. Edit. Cancel. Confirmation pop-ups appeared. Are you sure? Yes. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't sending dramatic texts. I was just closing doors I should have shut years ago. When I finished, I clicked back to the Paris tab. Round-trip flights for 2, Newark to Charles de Gaulle. Business class on the way there because I wanted her first long flight to feel like magic, not cramped. Hotel near the Jardin du Luxembourg, little boutique, place with a tiny balcony in the pictures. Museum passes. A birthday dinner reservation on a glass-topped boat on the Seine. Total, about $13,000, not including whatever we spent on croissants and impulse bookstore buys. I put in my card number. Pressed confirm. A new email popped up immediately. Bon voyage, Mr. Collins. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. I wasn't punishing my family. I was finally choosing my kid. I didn't tell my parents or Aaron about Paris. I told them the party was off. Mom called first when the venue email hit her inbox. What did you do? She snapped, skipping hello. Hannah just called me. You canceled? Without discussing it. You said Mia doesn't deserve a sweet 16, I said. Seemed weird to keep paying for something you don't think she's earned. That's not what I meant. It's what you said, I replied. Out loud. In front of her. There was a pause. I heard the TV in the background. You're being dramatic, she said finally. Family has disagreements. We don't blow up events because of one little comment. It's not one comment, I said. It's a pattern. And I'm done funding it. You're really going to let a teenager's tantrum cost your niece her party, too? She demanded. Kayla's not my responsibility, I said calmly. Mia is. And I'm not throwing a $34,000 party for a room full of people who think my kid is selfish because she kept her own birthday gift. You will regret this, Daryl, my mother hissed. You always let money talk for you. I'm just letting it say something different this time, I said. You're off my accounts. All of you. I'm not your backup bank anymore. I hung up. My hands were steady when I did. Aaron showed up at my apartment 2 hours later, banging on the door hard enough to rattle the frame. Mia was in her room with noise-canceling headphones on, sketching. I opened the door just enough to step outside and close it behind me. You're crossing a line, Aaron said immediately. Mom said you canceled everything. Do you know how embarrassing that is? People already got their dresses. I'm sure they'll find somewhere else to wear them, I said. You're doing this to punish me because Mia wouldn't share, she said. You're teaching her to be just like you. Cold. Selfish. I thought of all the checks I'd written with her name on the memo line. I'm teaching her that her boundaries matter, I said. That includes her birthday gift. And it includes not begging for crumbs of respect from people who can't give it. Aaron scoffed. So what? You'll just sit at home with a Costco cake, she sneered. Everyone's going to think you're broke. I'll survive the PR hit, I said. You should go. She tried to push past me. I want to talk to her, she said. I want her to look me in the eye and tell me she doesn't care about her family. She's not your punching bag, I said, stepping in front of the door. You don't get to use her feelings to pay your bills anymore. For a second, something flickered in her face. Fear? Realization? It vanished under anger. You'll regret this when Mom cuts you out of the will, she spat. I'd be shocked if there's anything left by then, I said. Good night, Aaron. I closed the door, locked it. I didn't explain anything to Mia beyond the basics. Hey, I said later that night, leaning on her doorway. Thought instead of a big party, we could do something else for your birthday. She paused her sketch. A little Eiffel Tower sat half-finished in the corner of the page. Like what? She asked. How do you feel about Paris? We landed on her birthday. She pressed her face to the plane window as the city came into view, lights scattered like someone spilled a jewelry box. On the train into the city, she kept whispering, Is this real? Are we actually here? Like she was afraid if she spoke too loud it would reset. We checked into the hotel. The room was small, but the balcony was real. She stepped outside, wrapped in my oversized hoodie, and looked down at the street. Happy Sweet 16, I said, handing her a little envelope. Inside was a simple card. On the front, a tiny watercolor of the Louvre I'd ordered from some Etsy artist who shipped too slowly but made it just in time. Inside, I'd written, For every ceiling you want to see in real life. She didn't cry. She just hugged me for a long time, arms tight around my waist, chin pressed into my chest. We spent the day like tourists. Croissants in a bakery where the staff switched to English when they saw our faces, and I felt mildly offended but grateful. The Louvre, where she stood under that famous glass pyramid and whispered, I learned about this in art class, like it was a secret. The Musée d'Orsay, because she'd once done a project on Van Gogh and wanted to see the brush strokes. At dinner on the boat, the waiter brought out a tiny cake with one sparkler in it. Not 16 candles, just one loud, bright stick of light. They sang happy birthday in French and English. She went pink and laughed into her hands. I took one photo. Just one. Her on the deck of the boat, Eiffel Tower behind her, hair pulled back in a messy bun, eyes half closed mid-laugh. No makeup artist, no rented throne chair, no choreographed entrance. I posted it on my Instagram and Facebook with a simple caption. Sweet 16. Just us. That was it. Within an hour, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. Aaron, we need to talk. Mom, where are you? Another from Aaron. Did you seriously take her to Paris and cancel the party for everyone else? Selfish much? A cousin. Dude, Paris? Happy birthday to Mia. She looks so happy. Mom again, you humiliated us. People are asking what happened. You made us look poor. I turned my phone face down. Across the room, Mia was standing at the window again, watching the city. Dad, she said. Yeah. Thank you, she said, for not making me give up my laptop. And for this. I know it's a lot. You deserve a lot, I said. Probably more than I gave you the last few years. She shrugged, turning back to the glass. I just like that it's just us, she said. It feels, I don't know, easy. That was new. The real fallout started when we got home. There were 37 unread texts in the family group chat. I didn't open it. Mom left voicemails. You embarrassed me in front of all my friends, she said in one. They were expecting a party. Now they think we're poor or that something is wrong with you. In another, you're punishing everyone because Mia is spoiled. You always overcompensate for her. Aaron was less poetic. You owe Kayla an apology, she texted. She cried when she saw that picture. She deserved that trip more than a girl who can't share. I typed and deleted a dozen replies. In the end, I sent 2 messages. One to the group chat, one to my mother directly. To the group. I'm not funding events or bills for a family that thinks my daughter is less than. The party money paid for a trip for the only person who actually turned 16. Going forward, don't count my wallet in your plans. To my mother. I love you, but I will not sit by while you talk about my kid like that. If you can't treat her like your granddaughter, you don't get access to my money or my time. When you're ready to apologize to her, not to me, you can call. Until then, I need space. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. The next weekend, my parents showed up at my apartment uninvited. Mia was at her mom's. The timing was a small mercy. I opened the door and blocked the doorway with my body. Mom was already in tears. The performative kind. We just want to talk, she said. You always say that, I replied. But you never actually listen. Dad looked angry in that quiet, dangerous way he gets when you've messed with his routine. You're being ridiculous, he said. We raised you. We deserve respect. You had it, I said. You still do, in how I speak to you. But I'm not required to fund you. That part is over. My mother sniffed. You're cutting off your own parents, she said. Over what? A laptop. I shook my head. Over years of Mia being treated like extra, I said. The laptop was just the first time she actually said no. You didn't like seeing your pattern fail. Dad stepped forward. At least sit down and talk about the money, he said. We've been counting on that. The roof. You'll have to adjust, I said. Like I did when I was eating ramen in my 20s and you told me it would build character. Mom's face twisted. I don't know what kind of man stops helping his own family, she snapped. The kind of man who finally realized his help was just hush money, I said. I won't pay for access to people who treat my kid like a problem. They stared at me, stunned. The old version of me would have folded then, offered a compromise, promised to reinstate part of the transfer until things calmed down. This version of me just opened the door wider. You should go, I said. Next time you come over, it needs to be because you're here for Mia, not my bank account. Mom started to say something. Dad put a hand on her arm. Come on, he muttered. He's made up his mind. For once, he was right. 2 months later, on a gray Saturday in March, we celebrated Mia's sweet 16 again. Our way. I invited a few people she actually liked. Her best friend, Zoe. My younger cousin Leo, who'd texted from the group chat to say, for what it's worth, I think Paris beats a ballroom any day. My ex came too. She and I are better co-parents than we ever were spouses. She brought a small cake and a ridiculous 16 candle she found at Party City. We pushed the dining table against the wall to make space in the living room. No DJ, just a Spotify playlist Mia and Zoe argued over. No catering, just homemade sliders and a giant bowl of chips. I set 4 extra chairs at the table. No one sat in them. Mia noticed. You expecting more people? She asked, gesturing. I used to expect them, I said. Now I just leave room. She looked at the chairs, then at me. I don't miss them, she said quietly. Is that bad? No, I said. I think that's honest. We sang happy birthday again. She rolled her eyes and smiled and pretended to hate the attention. After the cake, she pulled out a small sketchbook she'd bought in Paris with her own money. The cover was worn already, corners bent from being in her backpack. I made you something, she said, handing it to me. Inside were little drawings. Our hotel balcony, the glass pyramid, the birthday boat with little dots that were people. Me, asleep on the plane with my mouth open, thanks for that one. On the last page, she'd drawn our apartment from the outside. Lights glowing in just 2 windows. Little stick figure us inside at the table. Underneath, in her careful handwriting, she'd written, "Thank you for being my family." My throat tightened. I closed the book and held it like it was made of glass. Those 4 empty chairs stayed empty all night. No one dropped by just to talk. No one banged on the door. The next day, I took the Paris photo off my phone and printed it. I stuck it on the fridge with a magnet Mia made in 3rd grade. Every time I opened the door for milk or leftovers, I saw her laughing under the Eiffel Tower. Not in a rented ballroom, full of people waiting to see what they could get out of me next. Just my kid. Just us. I used to think keeping the peace meant paying whatever it cost. Now I know better. I won't fund a family my daughter doesn't feel part of. But I'll move heaven and earth for the one she and I are building. Right here, piece by piece, with our own 2 hands. This story is about recognizing your family treats your child as less important and choosing to put her first. Daryl spent years funding his family, mortgages, repairs, vacations. His generosity bought nothing except more expectations. When his sister demanded 15-year-old Mia give her birthday laptop to her cousin, and his mother said Mia doesn't deserve a sweet 16 for refusing, they weren't teaching lessons, they were punishing a boundary. The laptop revealed the pattern. For years, Daryl's resources and his daughter's comfort were treated as theirs to control. When Mia said no, she broke their unspoken rule. Canceling the $34,000 party and taking her to Paris instead wasn't revenge. It was finally investing in the person who'd never demanded anything while being consistently overlooked. What this teaches us: when family punishes your child for boundaries, they're protecting access to you, not teaching values. Mia's crime was keeping her gift. The real threat was modeling what Daryl should have done: refuse. If putting your child first costs family approval, that approval was conditional on compliance. Daryl didn't abandon anyone. He stopped funding people who marginalized his daughter. You can't buy respect for your child. Funding events while she was excluded didn't create belonging. It subsidized her being left out. Sometimes love means redirecting resources from those who demand them to the one who never asked.